You're listening to the Hossan Leong podcast. Okay, hi, I'm Hossan.
And I'm Ben.
Yeah, today our guest is a bit special to me, very close to my heart, let's just say. He used to work as a photojournalist, a writer, voiceover artist, as well as he was based in San Francisco working for the government.
Overseas Singaporean Unit.
Yes.
And he's currently hosting CNA 938's Money Mine.
His name is Stanley Leong. But last year, ladies and gentlemen, I went through this... I contracted a very deadly bacterial infection called Milestones. Now, this bacteria is found in soil and mud and is prevalent in Southeast Asia and in tropical countries. So I do some research. What is Milestones? Apparently, it attacks certain animals like dolphins and gorillas. But apparently, I would have died if my friend didn't force me to go to hospital because I was going to go to work for a gig. And she looked at me, she said, "You are going straight to A&E now." So I went to A&E, I went to hospital. I was hospitalized for 10 days. And it was a very scary time in my life because I had to cancel gigs. I couldn't accept new work. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't even know if I was going to recover. At that time, I didn't know what was going on. And after I got out of hospital, I had to carry this bottle of antibiotics that had to be intravenously pumped into my heart for the next 6 months. It was a very dark time for me. I didn't know what was happening. I felt doors were being slammed in my face. Opportunities were lost. But throughout all this, God opens this window, and I looked up and I realized that there are opportunities. You just have to look. And one of the windows that opened was the realization that my parents love me so much. Because my mom made me so much soup, I can open a soup restaurant there. And the other window that opened as I was lying in hospital was the concept of this show. So here we are today celebrating life. Celebrating friendship. And as I was lying in bed, I realized that, you gotta be encouraged sometimes. And I hope that you might be feeling like walls are closing in, doors are slamming, but always look up because there's always hope. A window will open somewhere, somehow. You just got to believe it. You got to trust. Okay, so how long have we known each other? Ben, how long have you known Stanley?
Possibly over 2 decades.
Oh, really? 20 years?
Well, it's
Or
fast.
more.
Yeah, I probably knew you as my brother's classmate from a long, long, long time ago.
Well, even though we weren't really classmates, but yes.
No, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, same circle, same year at least, right?
Yeah, same year.
Yeah.
So Stanley and I have known each other. I've known Stanley ever since he was born.
Since I was born.
Yeah, so Stanley Leong is actually my brother. So I first met him when he was in swaddling clothes.
Lying in a manger.
Yes, so Stanley, I want to ask you, how do people react when they first find out we are related?
They go like, "Oh, no wonder I see a little bit of Hossan in you, the way you talk, your
I
mannerisms."
don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing.
Yeah, but before you actually disclose or before they actually come to realize, there's no idea, there's no inkling at all.
There's no, because our names are so different.
Yeah, I mean, my name is not Harley, right?
No, Hallelujah, Leong.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, so for me as well, when you first started working in MediaCorp, or rather back then was CCS, right? Was it MediaCorp already?
RCS, Radio Corporation
You were with
Singapore.
RCS, that's
Yeah.
right. So people didn't realize, because Stanley was actually doing interviews and writing for magazine, is it?
It was then the online platform for back then TCS.
Yeah,
RCS.
exactly. And they go like, I didn't realize he was your brother. And then it's wow, it's so funny. You're both working in the same industry. And then, but then you went on to do really serious stuff, which I could never handle. So
Yeah. And that's the thing. People say, "Oh, hey, you and your brother are in the same industry," but really, I mean, you are more on the entertainment side of things, and I was on the news side of the house.
because you were doing editing.
I started as a news editor, right? And then I moved on to presenting. And that was when I also remembered asking you if you thought it would be a good idea for me to move on to presenting, because that opportunity was presented to me. And I was quite, concerned about whether if I were to make that cross into presenting, and if I totally sucked at it, would I be losing my job? by giving up editing, which I thought I was pretty good at. But you told me, Stanley, if you want to...
I sound like that.
I'm very bad with voice impersonation. Yeah, if you wanted to move on, in your career, it'll be a better platform for you to move on from as a presenter rather than someone in the background as an editor. So I took that up and ta-da, it's worked. So thank you for that advice.
You're welcome. I mean, that's what big brothers are for. Sometimes giving okay advice. We've grown up in I guess. I would say in a rather normal family.
Okay, I thought you were going to say dysfunctional.
No.
normal.
Yeah, pretty normal.
Right.
Pretty normal. Yeah.
People always tell mom and dad that, your both sons are quite sane. That's why I want to hear
One of us was, one of us turned out okay. Don't know which one though.
Do you have any family stories that you want to share, like that you can remember? Funny ones?
Funny one.
Or even, I don't know, any stories, touching ones,
Okay, I don't know if this is going to be a confession that's making it out, about 40 years later, but did you know I actually stole money from your piggy bank?
Rude!
Never knew, right?
Of course not. I don't have much money to begin with.
Well, you had a piggy bank and,
piggy bank?
And back then I was having this small little collection. I was amassing those mask figurines, mask crusaders.
Right.
I thought it was the Smurfs.
Yeah, no. Smurfs were another story. Smurfs were free because it came with a $50, petrol pump at a BP station.
That's right.
Back then we had BP stations. So I actually, would,
How much did you pilfer?
I mean, you only had like 20 cents and 10 cents, that kind of thing. So not very much. I could return it to you.
Rude.
With interest. Yeah. So I those were childhood days. I also remember the fun times we had when dad and mom weren't at home, and then we'd be building our own fortresses on the master bed that dad and mom slept in, and we would put together the two bolsters. And then we put the blankets and the sheets over it, and then we just crawl through and hide it.
It's amazing. I mean, it was a interestingly active childhood, I think, you guys. I had the privilege of being part of your Christmas parties for many years, and it was always an epic production. I think this is what we were destined to be in showbiz, right? There was a plan. There were plenty of audiences.
Actually, there was no plan. Trust me.
Really?
Most of the time is you all doing potluck, and then Uncle Vincent will lead in singing.
Yeah, games and singing. He's always on stage.
Yeah, that's the thing about our dad. I mean, he's quite a live wire. And if you're asking about live wire, that's where Hossan got that part of the family. Yeah, got that side of his genes.
Yeah, and so I'm glad that Ben, you were privy to all that crazy family.
It was
shows.
crazy.
Auntie Rosalind's house. We go to a community club or somewhere, some center.
Some center with a ballroom or function room.
Yeah, we did basic ballroom dancing as well.
We did the basic ballroom dancing lessons.
I think so. I think I remember vaguely.
Right?
I try not to remember.
Ivan's parents went to Auntie Rosalind and Uncle Hong Chow would learn ballroom dancing, and they would make us all learn.
Yeah, so free lessons.
It was free lesson. It was fun. I liked it.
I did.
But it was like we had to learn how to cha-cha, the foxtrot, and the rock and roll. And it was quite amazing. Like we partnered all aunties and uncles.
Yeah, but that was great because by the time we went to junior college, then we were hit with the girls.
That's right.
Only boys that could do ballroom dancing. It was fantastic. And then we were. Remember when your family first bought your first karaoke machine?
We did.
You had a karaoke machine. Was it you or somebody else?
Auntie Roslyn.
Auntie Roslyn. Yeah,
right.
Yep.
Non-stop. This is mayhem. It was mayhem.
LD. It was LDs.
LD, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, growing up then, I was always the person that people would push me to go and perform.
Yeah.
And looking back, I was a bit cheesed off because I just wanted to play with all my cousins and friends, right? But every time after dinner, it was always like, Hosanna, come play the piano. Why don't you sing song?
It happened to him when he came to my house. My mom would do that to him.
On behalf of my family, we apologize.
It was no, okay. I mean, looking back, as a kid, you kind of get a little bit upset because you're like, it's not what you want to do, right? You want to play with everybody. But it kind of trained me, I think, now looking back, to be this automatic jukebox,
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, piano put me there, and then I would be able to play any song. just put 20 cents kind of thing.
And I think it was because you were so talented, both at playing the piano and even in language like French. And for the music side of things, because he was so talented, it just discouraged me from wanting to take up the piano.
What do
because
you mean?
I would always be in his shadows. So I said, okay, no. Not even grade 1, I dropped out of piano classes.
I was
You remember
surprised
that?
you dropped out,
Yeah.
because you were not bad at it.
No, I was bad. I
Really?
was bad, trust me. I think I was better with the two, pairs of the pairs of chopsticks that I was hitting on the stool as a kid. Yeah, so I thought one day I'd be a drummer, but it never happened.
No, don't be a drummer, trust me.
Why? I'm Mary's boy child, little drummer boy, Goes together.
That's true. So am I. I'm Mary's boy child.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Okay, never mind. You can play the drums. Funnily enough, you've been away from Singapore. Not funnily enough, but as it so happens that you went away to study, and then you went away to work.
Mm-hmm.
So growing away for such long periods of time, what have you learned?
Well, the first going away was for university in Australia. I think that was when Mum was, I think Dad as well, was slightly concerned about me going overseas because prior to that, I was the most timid, the most changed to timid. I was the most timid child. I would cry a lot. I wouldn't dare to talk to strangers. So I think they had their concerns about me going overseas. How am I going to survive, right? If I don't open my mouth and ask questions, if I get lost, then what do I do? But I think that opened me up to a whole new world and a whole... Okay, stop singing. Yeah, and it allowed me to, I guess, find myself, build confidence, to know that I'm able to do things independently of Mum and Dad. So I think that was like, the first breakout. And then the most recent breakout was between 2013 and 2018, 5 years based in the San Francisco Bay Area. And that was for work. And I think being overseas, it makes you truly appreciate what you have back here, apart from family and food, or is it food and family, whichever order.
Comes first.
Yeah, it depends on who I'm talking to. It makes you appreciate what we have back home, even the sense of personal safety and security. And that was something I felt was missing. And also even the 5 years that I was overseas in the US, I felt less cultured than I was when I'm back here in Singapore. Primarily because if you wanted to catch a musical theatre production or something, you have to go all the way to San Francisco. I was living like an hour's drive down in the south.
Who was you?
And it was the safer part of that part of the world.
Yeah.
And if you were to drive up in San Francisco, you just don't feel safe. A lot of homelessness, a lot of car break-ins, the smell of drugs just fills the air. So I did really miss home when I was there. And no matter what all these sometimes first world nations make themselves out to be, they're not as fabulous as the media portrays them. So I got to really understand what we have back here.
What about you, Ben? Because you were away for a while as well.
I kind of got lost in Australia for a long time. I really got into the lifestyle there. I got used to it. So much so that it became very difficult for me to come back here. I had adjustment problems when I first came back. The first year was terrible. I didn't understand why people couldn't go to the beach every day here. Just cannot.
Because our beach very ugly.
Polluted.
And the water's black.
Artificial sand.
And I was outdoors all the time, and then I had to readjust when coming back here. It was freedom for me. I think I grew up in a very, very I would say strict household with my parents. I think Hossan and myself used to make excuses for each other. We cover for each other every time. Yeah,
yes, we
tell
did.
our mothers that we were in each other's houses. Actually, we're not.
Truth is out.
Yeah,
With someone else's house. Function.
mobile disco. Yeah.
But then when you went away, you were away for 7 years, right? Or something.
8 years.
8 years.
Wow.
That's a very long time away during those formative young adult years, I would say.
Yeah.
So you set down roots in Sydney back then.
Yeah.
Then I sent my mom and my brother to you.
Oh yeah, that was terrifying.
Does Stanley remember that at all?
You came. You took a train to Sydney
Brisbane.
from Brisbane.
Oh yeah, we went down south. Oh, did we went up with you? I can't remember.
I picked you up at the railway station, and then I drove you to
Thank
Macquarie.
you.
To
All right,
some-
thank you. That must be my twin brother. Where was I then?
No, because back then Ben had orange hair, and I think he just woke up to come pick you from Central Station in Sydney, and then Mum's like, "Why your friend like that? Ah?
Why the hell, orange?
Why his hair orange? Ah? Huh? Why he's not so sleepy all the time?" So I was wondering whether you remember that.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah. Oh dear, that part I somehow missed.
I was terrified.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, there was a
Let me
lot of
lapse.
judgment there. Looking back at our history as family and friends growing up, what were our milestones, Ben? Do you remember? Like
Milestones in terms of
in
what?
terms of our friendship.
I think going away, we actually got closer when I went to Australia.
That's
because
true.
we started really truly communicating. It's harder to. I think Hossan and myself are similar in that we are reserved when it comes to actually expressing our real emotions. We actually keep it bottled up inside. Being apart forced us to write to each other and describe those feelings. I think that's what
I think
started
was
it.
helpful.
Yeah, it
because
was
last
very
time don't
helpful.
have text.
Aerogram?
Yeah.
What did you guys use?
Aerograms.
Oh, really?
It was
Aerogram?
aerogram.
Yes, 35 cents.
Yeah.
Right. Does your producer know what aerograms? Oh, he does.
he does.
Yeah, he's been
He
educated.
Googled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, then I could afford to call once a month, and I would call you once a month, and then we would talk on the phone.
And it was funny because then going to Sydney for my holidays, personal holidays, was my goal.
Yeah.
Every time I would save money to
And then come
fly.
by.
To come down to Sydney to visit you because accommodation was free. I had free transportation because Ben would drive me everywhere. And back then Sydney was not 24 hours. My gosh,
No.
if we want to eat supper,
Oh, the only place was in Chinatown. Yeah.
or the Rocks,
Or the Rocks.
Pancakes, which are
It's
still there.
It's not an international house of pancakes.
No.
is it?
No, it's
Okay.
Pancakes on the Rocks. It's
Yeah.
called.
Okay.
And it's still there. And we all or Double Bay. Double Bay, where all the Hong Kong people would go for coffee at night. But Double Bay now no more Hong Kong people.
Why?
I don't know. They all moved Chatswood.
Really?
They were still there, but
Oh gosh,
it's changed. Double Bay has changed a lot. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's changed a lot.
Yeah, I gotta pay a visit.
Yeah, you must come. Then you'll be completely lost, but I'll bring you around.
Oh gosh, yeah. You'll be the native and I'll be the visitor.
And what about you, Stanley? What do you think our milestones were as brothers?
That was a very heavy sigh. Thanks.
So loaded that
Our
side.
milestones. as
Never thought about it,
brothers.
right?
No, never thought about it. I mean, I guess there was never any, big, milestone, and not that I can recall. I mean, the relationship I think we've always had was kind of, very constant, gradual, nothing. It's not like the stock markets, for instance. So yeah, I don't particularly recall any particular big situation that happened that was a milestone. But I mean, I enjoyed the time where you had me involved in one of your one-man events at the recital studio at the Esplanade, where we
That
did
was
a duet together.
Seriously, Hossan.
Oh, was
no,
it?
yeah, Seriously, Hossan. It was at the
Wow,
Esplanade,
okay.
2008.
2007.
Is it?
Yeah, and I thought it was nice. I mean, the fact that we were able to share a duet together
That's
at
lovely.
Hossan's show. So that was fun. Yeah, I always envisioned that, given the musical family that we come from on Mum's side, it would be wonderful if we could pull all the cousins together and just do a whole big Liu Leong kind of.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know,
our cousins
show.
are quite musical that
Very
way. I mean,
musical. Yeah.
I started playing the piano because of my cousin Kenny. When he would be able to play the organ and piano, and I told my mom when I was 6, that's what I want to do, and that's what she did. Mom and dad got me the piano,
And Sam as well.
and Sam,
He's
who's
also
in-
very
in
musical.
church.
Yeah.
And I think for me, being able to bring Mom over to see you into San Francisco when you turned 40. That was
no,
one.
I'm not there yet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Still getting
okay. Back in the day, that was, I think, for me, quite a big milestone because you were away for so long, and it was very difficult for, I think, Mom and Dad really missed you.
Aw.
Yeah, they did,
Aw.
and because I'm half time I'm not working anyway, so it's funny that I've become the go-to nephew to bring uncles and aunties out for random lunches in the middle of the week because everyone else is working, and then I mean, up to today, they'll go like, Hosanna, can you bring us out to eat Nando's? and then after that, can we tapao? So it's like my Nando's bill, right? It's like phenomenal because I'm suddenly tapaoing for like 8 people. One whole chicken each, so they eat for the rest of the week. But it was a great trip. I thought being able to come to see you and stay and sleep on your living room floor.
It was so funny because we had this partition that was laid out, and
exactly like these partitions here in the studio.
Yeah. So we had my mum in the guest room, and Hossan had to sleep in the living room, and then we had these partitions, and then just to give him some sense of privacy, he didn't have a physical room himself, so he would sometimes drape his clothes over these partitions, and then you suddenly realize like, hey, he looks like some workers' quarters or something.
And it was like a little puppy enclave because there was the windows.
Right.
I could see the bay.
Yeah, the bay windows.
The bay
ones
windows.
that jut in a little bit.
And I was just there. The whole world could see me change and sleep and wake up. But yeah, it was quite a fun trip at the end of the day.
And the hot air ballooning experience.
We went hot air ballooning.
Yeah, that was fun. I'd never been on hot air balloon till then.
Yeah, Sonoma. No, that's a good time to bond. I think that when you were away. So funnily enough, absence does make the heart grow fonder, I think.
Yeah, and we did catch up also a few times for Singapore Days, which were held overseas.
How funny was that, right? Because Stanley used to work for it's not called that anymore, but the Overseas Singaporean Unit, OSU. And of course, like myself and Lai, we always get called up to go to these Singapore Days around the world to perform, to host. Yeah. And Stanley inevitably would be also flown back to wherever we were doing to work. So we ended up being colleagues in a sense as well.
Yeah.
Then Stanley had to handle New York crisis all.
Oh, don't remind me that one.
Was it when
there was a crisis in New York when we did it?
There are always crises. Every city you have your events.
Sydney also kena one crisis, right?
It's everywhere.
So why aren't the locals allowed into Singapore Day?
Oh gosh.
Which part of Singapore do you not see under day?
Yeah, like we're not Singapore Tourism Board. Get that right.
Have you been influenced by me in the sense that what we do have I been influenced by you, what you do in terms of work?
I don't know. I may be wittier now than ever before, mainly because I've been watching your shows and whatnot, and I think a lot of my friends dare say I can be quite funny myself, or maybe they're just not as exciting. So maybe that part of it I may have caught on a little bit from you. So yeah,
I don't know, the other way around,
just the wit.
Because
I don't think you're more serious than
I don't know. As I grow older, I think I've kind of stabilized.
You better.
quite
That's the way. That's natural progression
in my mind.
Quite a fair bit.
No,
I think
right?
you have. I mean, observing as the non-brother, the non-sibling, I think the traits that both of you have individually have started to rub off. You're like melding together. Really? So when I hear him on air, right, he's like one of the voices that is instantly recognizable, instantly engenders this calmness to you when he's reading the news that is terrible news, right? But it's Stanley Leong reading it, so the world is okay. That kind of feeling. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's reassuring. It's reassuring in that way. It's systematic. That he's objective and all that. And it's that kind of calm that you need your presenter on your kind of show to have. Then you are the Xiao Ting Tong for the longest time. And then now you've actually become, you can actually carry off what Stanley can do on in certain times. I think likewise, I think you become a lot more relaxed, and you started to not pull punches on the jokes you want to make fun of Tekan people. You just go for it.
Not on national radio.
Not on the channel on anyway. For example, this podcast I think shows a side of us, Ben and I, that a lot of people don't see. That we can actually hold proper conversations, complete sentences that don't end with a la or I think that kind of we grew into this. Moving on, when I fell sick, what was going through your mind, Stanley?
I mean, it was pretty serious, right? Going to hospital, visiting you on the sick bed, and you were just hooked up to all these machines and whatnot. But you still had this sense of calmness and joy. Calmness and joy. Oh. Yeah, so, I mean, it definitely looked pretty serious.
Well, did you come and see me before or after the diagnosis?
I think it was before. I think it was probably a weekend or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Because I went in on a Sunday.
I mean, definitely everyone was concerned about you because I think back then they still hadn't figured out what it was. Yeah, so I was just glad that, was able to see you and you looked to still be in good spirits despite not knowing what was happening to you. Yeah, so I'm glad that prayer worked. And the doctor that you had, Dr. Leong, from the same tribe, I was able to help you out, recover and also.
What about you, Ben, when you found out I was
terrified.
deathly ill?
I was really, I think I was overseas when you first got sick. I was in Madrid.
Ah, okay.
And then you texted, and then I was reading your whole long text. I got a shock, and then I told Naomi, and I didn't know what to do. Honestly, I was trying to stay calm for you as well, but I was terrified because I couldn't come and visit you. And you had told me, and I don't think it told you, Stanley, at that time. He didn't want you to worry, probably, but he was tired. He said, I don't want to do this anymore. I give up. I don't want. I'm too tired. It's too painful. I don't know what's wrong with me. And it was that resignation that terrified me even more, lah. Because usually it would be like, okay, I don't know what's wrong with me, and you make fun of it. It was the first time you didn't make fun of it. Yeah.
I think that was because it was also the day of my birthday.
Yeah.
I was turning 49 and I had no idea whether I would last till 50 because the fever hadn't broken. I was in so much pain and discomfort that not many people knew how I felt except you and Paul. And because I had been in hospital for 6 days.
Yeah.
And nothing was the doctor didn't know lah, basically. So I was quite resigned that was the lowest point I've ever felt in my life, in my entire life. So, but I think praying through it for me brought some comfort alone in the room, and therefore Hosanna 50 was born out of that. Yeah. That deep-seated gratitude that I still carry in my heart now. I was just going to ask. So each of us, right, we go through so many relationships in terms of family, friends, loved ones. What is the value of relationship to you, Ben? Like, how would you describe the value of relationship?
Hard to describe. I would say you fall back on the love no matter what. No matter what your differences are between people in your family and all that. If you are surrounded by the love that you can give to people, to the ones around you, I think that's all that ever matters. It's just a matter of loving. I think somebody actually once said, unrequited love is the number one thing to live for. Give. Don't think about receiving back.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Stanley?
Yeah, I mean, investing in relationships, like what Ben said, not expecting anything in return. I think that is something that I feel more and more increasingly the need to want to do. And I think when you meet friends whom you may not have been able to stay connected with on a regular basis, and then when you catch up with your friends, and there are certain friends that just feel like time just stood still, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think those kind of remind me that a lot has already been invested in it, and they just, go about continuing to stew, if you like, sit on, and they'll never kind of go cold or anything on you, and that's what I appreciate about friendships that are really those that you've invested in, and they continue.
Because I think as we grow older, right, we don't think we need new friends, right? In a sense, I mean, I'm not being, mean here, but
unfriendly.
You know what I mean? It's like to go out and make new friends at this age. It's like, what does it mean? What does it mean to make new friends? I don't know. I've got enough friends.
If it happens, great. But we don't make it a point that I need to go out and meet new people.
So introvert, extrovert.
Me, introvert.
Introvert.
Wow. Okay. So what? Yeah, yes, Jam. Our producer's like, yeah, me too. One of these things is not like the other. But then I don't know. I think as I analyze myself, because you grow and you think about a lot of things. I kind of have this split personality.
Yeah, you do.
I do, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, I can turn it on and go "Rah!" for like 2 hours, but then I can also be very just keep very quiet. And people always ask me, "Are you okay?" when I'm quiet, because I don't understand that I need to be, and that's me. I'm in a corner and they go, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah. And I remember you saying also how tiring it can be, because as a public personality that you are, right? People recognize you on the streets. You always have to be on the on best behavior, because you never know who the next person is who's gonna come up to you and say, "Hey, can we take a photo, a selfie, or whatever?" And even though you may not be in the best mood, but you still have to put on that smile, force it out.
I think I've gotten better over the years.
That's really tough.
I used to get upset by people accosting me in the streets, because I always thought that's an infringement of my privacy, But then that was 20 years ago, But as you get older, you kind of think that, well, I'm in it because this job requires me to be in the public eye. So, and now my purpose is to make people happy and bring joy and smiles to their faces. It's part of the deal, and I'm very happy to do it. Of course, sometimes I get into a grab and it's like, "Wow, you meet a cop, Hey, you know 这个林明娇吗? You know her? No. 她是第八波到的. You know her daughter? Know her daughter? No. How much you earn? Wow, I tell you, what do you say to these people? You don't get it right. It's like, so let me sing your friend. Kuma? I don't know what to answer. What you must give me a stock answer next time. I always used to text Maggie and say, "Please call me now." And she would call me on the phone, and we have nonsense chats just so I avoid these
those questions.
Oh dear. When I gave you your present, the Leong hoodie.
Oh, che. I was like, what present?
Do you like it?
Yeah.
What have people said about it?
Hey, where you get that from? I want one. But like, wait, they're not even Leongs and they want mine.
Exactly, right? I've been asked, where do you get it? I think you can't get it anymore. I saw this online actually.
Yeah.
During all those sponsored Facebook posts.
Facebook posts, yeah, I've seen this.
And I thought, okay, I risk it. I'll get a few and I'll give to Leong, our hairdresser, whose surname isn't even Leong.
Yeah, Lim.
He's Lim.
Oh.
But his name is Lim Chin Leong.
Oh.
But everyone calls him Leong. And for him, it's a long thing, you really wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
But for those of you who are wondering what it looks like, later on we'll take a picture. We'll put it on
Stanley.
On Stanley. Yeah.
On Stan. I brought mine. I brought my present.
I brought mine too. Now, thank you, Stanley, for being on the show. It's the first time I think I'm interviewing Stanley, because Stanley always interviews me.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just so
First
weird
time.
being interviewed. I do it for a living, but not on the other side of the mic.
Well, it's not really an interview, it's more like a chat. To find out about our relationships and our thoughts about family and friends, I think. So if people want to follow you on your social media handles, what are they?
The public one, I still like my private life, would be Instagram at Stanley Leong CNA.
That's right, because you can listen to him 10 to 2 on Mondays to Fridays on Money Mind on CNA 938. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
All right, it's time for topics from a fishbowl.
The fishbowl, again, that
Fishbowl.
is too small for my hand.
It's only one goldfish, very sad.
Guppies lah, guppies. Okay, big enough. Biggest regret growing up.
Wow, the biggest regret growing up. I don't know if this would constitute the biggest regret, but maybe for me it'd be a slight tinge of regret that I actually didn't study. Didn't get no, that I didn't get an official education. That I didn't go to university.
Right.
And part of me wished that I did. But very small part. It's not a very big regret. But I don't know of any big regrets of my life. But you know what I mean, right? It's like suddenly like I said, sometimes I feel like I'm an imposter because I don't have a degree and I'm doing these talks or I'm giving, teaching lessons and stuff like that. So
I think we're in the same space. I think the regrets get smaller and smaller as we go older. I think that it's the main thing. I think I remember as a child, my regret was, as I grew up, I found that as I was growing up, I wasn't growing taller. And I wanted to be a pilot.
Oh, okay.
So I missed the cutoff height.
I wanted to be cabin crew, but I was too short, so I cannot reach the overhead compartment.
Same. So I couldn't be a pilot. It's 2 centimeters too short.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had perfect eyesight and couldn't fly a plane, unfortunately. Then in the army as well, too short. I had to stand on the shelves of the ammunition shelves in the tank in order to fire the machine gun.
But still, they allow you to do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
I was balancing all the time, holding on to one strap and then firing the gun in the other hand. But I wanted to be a pilot, that's the thing.
Okay, so today my biggest regret was not eating bak chor mee.
You can still, it's still
right?
open now what time? Yeah, still can go and get,
All right, so if you want to eat bak chor mee, you want to know where the best place to go for that, you can subscribe to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts to receive notifications when new episodes get released. And we'd love to hear from you, so all you have to do is drop us comments or emails at
podcast@doubleconfirm.sg. That's right.
That's the one.
The Hossan Leong podcast is brought to you by Double Confirm Productions. Hosted by Hossan Leong and Benjamin Lee. Produced by Ann Lee and Jem Toh. Post-mixed by Ken Delbridge and recorded at Splice Studios, Singapore.